Hello, everyone. This is Independent Conservative. I am Ryan Bowling. Thank you all for joining me once again. So, Stephen A. Smith, the common sports commentator that we all know, some of us love, some of us don't love, pretty much went off the rail in his comments about the Biden administration and Mayor Eric Adams of New York allowing this idea of giving millions and millions of dollars of prepaid credit cards to illegal aliens. And he's pretty upset about this. Now, I'm going to read you a portion of his transcript in this Breitbart News article. I did get a chance to hear a portion of what he has said in the podcast in highlight form, but I didn't listen to the entire podcast. But I'm going to read a portion of his commentary. I'm going to read a portion of his words in this transcript here in this Breitbart News article, because it makes sense. When you have people like this that are on the left that begin to say, wait a minute, what you guys are doing is totally ludicrous, this is ridiculous, then it sounds like people are starting to wake up. People in the mainstream media is waking up. They're waking up like, wait a minute, hold on, this is way too extreme. This is not the Democrats that I came up with, This is not what it's about. So let's get right into this. Yeah, let's get right into this. Yeah. This is crazy, man. It's crazy. And I have been doing quite a few articles and videos on this subject of this legal immigration situation. I've been doing quite a lot of articles on that. But I'm doing it because it has to be exposed more and more and more now. This has just gotten out of hand to the point where it's ridiculous. But the article says ESPN sports commentator Stephen A. Smith may be a left-winger, but he does not seem to be on board with the Biden regime's open border policies. On his Tuesday podcast, he ripped the millions being spent on illegal aliens while natural-born Americans are left wanting. As Smith wrapped up his show on February 6th, he left sports and entertainment behind to address politics in America. And he started his segment by saying that Donald Trump will be reelected as president in November, quote, even if he's a convicted felon by that time. I think quite a few people said that. He says, the article says, Smith said he is a fan of Mayor Eric Adams, but went on to decry the $53 million in prepaid credit cards to illegals as a slap in the face of Americans. That's a shame. That's a shame. So I'm going to read you some of what he said. He says, when you hear about migrants receiving $53 million in prepaid credit cards, the Eric Adams administration and the mayor's office of New York City will tell you it's going to save about $600,000 a month, Smith said. Wow. But that's not how poor people are looking at it. You know what black people are looking at? Like, you know what Latinos who happen to be poor that arrived in this country are looking at it like? Where that money come from? From us. I could have used it. I could have used the extra $500 a month. I could have used the extra $1,000 a month. And he's absolutely right. Because if you are a tax-paying citizen who have at one point worked or whatever, and some bad thing happens, sometimes you get laid off or you lose your job, whatever. That's happened to me. It's happened to me. And I was on welfare at least 2 times. I know, I've been down that road. And you know what? I'm not ashamed of it. And I don't try to put people down who are on it, okay? I'm not ashamed to have been on it. You want to know why I'm not ashamed to have been on it? Because that's my money. That money's supposed to help me when I'm down and out. That's my money that they take out of my doggone check. Half the time, no matter how many hours I work, inflation sky high, they taking out all this money out of my doggone check. And it goes to this. When I get ready to take, it goes to wherever. When I get ready to get my, if something happens, I get laid off or whatever, and I go get on welfare, I have my chest be sticking out. Yeah, give me my money. Give me my money. But see, as Smith is saying here, in so many ways, he's absolutely right. It's like, what the heck are you doing? What are you doing? You taking my money and giving it to people that don't belong here, that's coming here illegally. We're not talking about people coming here legally. They're illegal coming here. Bull crap. It's nonsense. Smith went on to lambast Mayor Adams for having taken a tour of countries south of Mexico, where he told them not to come to the U.S. and that New York was past capacity taking illegals. Smith felt that the trip was, quote, the worst plan I have ever heard in my D life, and slammed Adams for talking to foreigners instead of working to negotiate with politicians here in the USA instead. I mean, yeah, common sense, but I think these people like Mayor Eric Adams and the rest of them are just pawns. Smith was also incensed that Democrats were spending billions on illegals when we have so many Americans who are in need but who are being ignored. And he talks about seeing homeless. He said, I see homeless folks in the streets of New York all the time that are American citizens. I do sure see them in California. And there's another section here where I think there's a very valid point where he makes a very valid point about this idea of the flourishing economy. We said something that's valid. He says, what's the one way to eradicate it? Yes, you got to have a flourishing economy. Yes, you can't have inflation. Yes, you can't be on the verge of recession. Milk don't need to cost $7. Bread don't need to cost $5. Don't get me started on how much sugar costs. Now, here's the part I like. You can talk about employment all you want to. You can talk about the labor participation rate, but guess what? If you ain't making no D money and you got to get 2 jobs to pay the same prices or to buy the same amount of stuff that you used to buy, and the prices is higher than it used to be because of inflation, then guess what? What are you really accomplishing? He explained. That's why Trump is on the verge of getting reelected, because when he was in office, there was a flourishing economy. And he's right. He's right. I believe the Biden administration, I can't remember exactly who made this foolish statement, but I remember one particular article I saw, the heading where it talked about over 300,000 jobs were added to the economy. In other words, hey, this is a positive note. The economy is blooming, boo, 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 boo. But Smith is saying here, what difference does that make? Having an influx of a lot of jobs means nothing if the jobs aren't paying you anything. Okay, yeah, you got hundreds of thousands of jobs. What kind of jobs? What kind of jobs are you talking about? Low skill jobs? Okay, you don't have hundreds of thousands of jobs that where you have to have an education in computer sciences and so forth. And even if you did have hundreds of thousands of jobs where you have to have high levels of skill, you probably don't have the supply to meet that demand. See, this is how they do. This is how these politicians do. You know, well, it's boom, man, get out of here. Anybody with any sense knows that doesn't make any sense. But yeah, and the article goes to say this prospect is not something Smith wants to see. He went on to shrilly claim that the country would devolve into a, quote, civil war because Trump would go on a revenge tour, which would divide the country. But he did note that he can't blame rapper 50 Cent for saying he could support Trump. And yeah, that's basically it right there. That's pretty straightforward. You know, you get the gist of what Stephen A. Smith is talking about. You know, look, I don't watch Stephen A. Smith that much. I usually, when I listen to him, I listen to highlights of what he says, bits and pieces. I don't listen to an entire podcast or an entire commentary on what he says, because some of the stuff he says I don't agree with. He goes back and forth. I can argue this. Clearly, it seems to me that he's on the left, but it seems to me that he's on the left, but not the extreme left. And what I oftentimes get on is not the left per se. I've been criticized with that, of attacking the left in general. I don't get on the left in general. I get on the, let me clarify. It's the extreme left, the radical left that I get on. It's these radical policies that I get on. Now, I don't agree with a lot of the left, period. Anyway, you know, even in the moderate left, I don't too much agree with some of that stuff, you know. But the extreme left is what I'm talking about here. And to me, this is the extreme left. When you're giving hundreds of billions of dollars to Ukraine, you're giving millions and millions of dollars to illegals, and that's radical. That's radical. And it seems to me that Stephen A. Smith is someone who may be on the left, but he's not on the extreme radical left. So some people may interpret his words as contradictory. Like, which side are you on? No, I won't say it's contradictory. It's just that he's not, when he sees something that's extreme on the left, he addresses it and says, okay, that's going to turn people that are on the left or the moderate left to the right, or at least put them in that realm. That's how I see Stephen A. Smith. I don't see him as someone who's conservative. I don't see him as someone who don't know how to make up his mind. Someone made that comment about him. He don't know how to make up his mind. Which side is he on? No. Because the article goes on to say that he's not Republican. He's not. In many ways, Mr. Smith doesn't indicate that he's a Republican, but he's just not someone who's extreme. And in these instances here, where we're giving what the Biden administration is allowing all of these illegals to come over here with these open border policies, when we have situations like Mayor Eric Adams yicking and yakking and allowing these illegals to be getting prepaid credit cards with all this money on it and ignoring your own people that were born here in this country, you ignoring them at the expense of these illegals, that's radical. And regardless of what side you're on, whether you're on the left, whether you're on the right, whether you're in the middle, whether you're independent, that's radical. It's wrong. There is no way to justify it. And one of the things that pees me off with these politicians is they're always gaslighting. Well, you people are not really seeing what you're really seeing. The economy is really good. The economy is this. The economy is that. Crime isn't really all that high. I cannot stand these people. I can't. Lord have mercy, Jesus. I'm trying to be right about this as a Christian. I really am. But I cannot stand these lying politicians. They make my butthole want to suck a raw egg. My mom used to say that all the time. When she gets to make my butthole want to suck a raw egg. Because of all the lying. In other words, she said it because she hates when people sit up and tell us a blatant lie when nobody else could have did what they did, but except the person that's telling a lie. In the same situation here, I cannot stand these politicians sitting up here gaslighting people. Niglet, we're here in the middle of it. We see it. We feel it. We taste it. When we go to the grocery store, I go to the store, man, it don't make no sense how much money I got to spend. The other day, I came from grocery shopping. I went to Walmart, which is a Steelyard Commons where I live, right? So I had to get on the bus and travel all the way across town to go to Walmart to their grocery area to shop, because their prices are slightly lower and they have more of a variety. Now, right across the street from where I live is a Heinen's grocery store, but they're like super high, right? So I'm on the elevator and I got my little cart and I'm on the elevator and I'm headed up to my apartment, and there's a gentleman next to me. And he asked me, he says, and people usually don't do that when I'm on the elevator. People just get on the elevator and they just be looking somewhere else and looking on their phone. But he asked me, he said, where do you go grocery shopping? I says, well, I went to Walmart, Steel Comedy. He's like, yeah, man, and I began to explain to him why, because I knew why he asked me. I saw the expression on his face. I knew why he asked me. He asked me because I said, I went to Walmart, man, because Heinen's is so doggone expensive, man. He's like, yeah, it's crazy, man. He's like, you can't go anywhere without spending at least $20. And he wasn't referencing grocery shopping, obviously. But if you want to get something to eat, if you just want to go to a fast food restaurant, you're going to probably spend, depending on where you live, you're going to probably spend close to $20. And it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. These prices, the inflation is sky high. And many are blaming this on the Biden administration. It was not this way under the Trump administration. It wasn't. And some have theorized that the reason why the inflation is so high is because the Federal Reserve is constantly printing out all this money. And the Federal Reserve is constantly, as the more money the Federal Reserve prints out, the more inflation rises. How that exactly works, I don't know. But the more money they pump out and print, okay, the more worthless the dollar bills become. You need more of those dollar bills to pay for what the things that the things that you want. So as a result, the prices, rise up. How that works mechanically, I always could never fully understand, but I guess that's what it's all about. This started happening under the Biden administration, and because to fulfill all of these welfare programs, giving all this money and all this tons of hundreds of billions of dollars to Ukraine, giving all this money to these illegals. You got to get that money from somewhere. And it's still rise that they're getting it from the taxpayers, from the taxpayers. And how they do that, they get the Federal Reserve to print more money out, more money out. As a result, the prices go up. Now, this has been going on under the Biden administration, people argue, and not under the Trump administration. Under the Trump administration, inflation was not nearly this high. People are getting tired. People are getting tired of the lies coming from the politicians. People are getting tired of this nonsense. And people like Stephen A. Smith is just one of them who gets on these podcasts and opens up about the reality of where we really are. So I just wanted to say that, man, yeah, I understand exactly what he's feeling. Yeah, I get it. I understand, bro. I understand. Every American understands. Most people understand. You shouldn't have to get slapped in the face to really understand any of this type of stuff, And like I said, people complaining to me about the high prices, it's hard to make ends meet. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. And the sad thing about this is we got to wait all the way until November until something happens. So there's plenty of time for all of this stuff. Let me tell you this. Let me tell you this in this video on this. The Biden administration, if they want to remain in power, they better come up with a solution that's going to truly help Americans. Because something is going to happen. Something's going to break through. Something's going to break through. And that's all I'm going to say on that. And it ain't going to be good for the Biden administration. It ain't going to be good for the Biden administration. That's all I'm going to say on that. And you guys, you guys add it up as you see fit. But it's not going to be good for the Biden administration if they don't come up with some viable solution right now. But between now and November, they better come up with something that's going to help the American people. Black, white, Hispanic, don't make no difference. Get all these illegals coming over here, man. Stop it. I know we know you're trying to, probably more than likely trying to find another voter base because you're losing the blacks and you're losing Hispanics and other minorities. Okay, we get that. But what you're going to end up doing is causing another civil war, or a war rather, a revolution. And some have argued, like I have argued that that's part of the plan as well, to create a revolution because, as I said before, I don't believe a lot of these Democrats are true Democrats. I believe a lot of these Democrats are communists in disguise, and they're purposely trying to cause chaos by by initiating certain legislation and laws that would make this situation possible in order to create a revolution, a classing of groups, to create that revolution, create that chaos, come in, save the day, and then initiate their communist government. But it ain't going to happen. Well, let me put it like this. I pray it doesn't happen. I pray it doesn't happen. And I pray that more people wake up to what is going on in this country with these politicians. That's what I'm praying. But what do you guys think? Leave your comments in the comment section below. Like, share, and subscribe to my channel. God bless you all. See you again.